Hello everybody and welcome back to Farmhouse Lilies. My name is Brooke and today we're getting ready for spring. One way to get ready for spring for me is clean out my seed starting station so I have a nice clean area to start my seeds and hopefully get them started on the right foot. So the first things we're going to start doing is decluttering, removing all of the trash that's all around and getting all my seed starting stuff and put them in the same spot. While I get my seed starting station all cleaned and organized here, I just want to say some things about some other things that I'm going to do to prepare for spring and cleaning down this seed station. So something I should have done that I didn't do was wipe down the surfaces and the trays. I should have done that actually at the end of last season, but I did not. But it is important to go through and do that, and it's something I will do because you can have germs and bacteria and viruses and fungi transfer from one season to the next if you're using the same seed starting trays. So you really want to make sure that you are cleaning your supplies as you go and preparing them for the next season, or getting them prepared for the season that's coming up. It's super important that you organize your seed packets, and however you decide to do that is whatever you decide to do, but I like to organize them by seed start date and actually group them in different seed start date groups. Here you'll actually see me throw away a bunch of seeds. I have seeds from 3 to 5 years ago that we just need to trash because I didn't store them correctly in the fridge, and so they won't last that long if you don't store them correctly in like a nice cool area. So those seeds were no good to keep going. So we are ordering all new seeds this year. I do keep some large bags of some bulk seeds that I bought, like I think we got green beans and black beans and some things that are really good for seed sprouts. I know I got a bunch of split cilantro as well, and I actually love that massive bag of split seed cilantro. It's from True Leaf Market, and I love it because you can not only start a whole bunch of great sprouts for yourself that are cilantro and they're delicious and amazing, but also you can just scatter them throughout your garden and you can have a ton of cilantro growing everywhere, and it's great because cilantro is one of those things that you just need to keep planting. So that's one of those things that I like to keep on hand, and so that's in one of those big giant seed bags there. We did check our grow lights, and I don't show it here in this video, but we do check our grow lights and our seed mats to make sure they're working properly and okay, so that they are just ready to go, all plugged in, and I don't have to worry about anything. Well, they're not plugged in, but I will plug them in. But they're ready to go for when I start my first seeds, which should be here in the next few days. I'm just waiting for some seeds to come in and we will start some flowers, because a lot of the flowers that I got need to be started way early, and I need to go through and restock a lot of my planting soil. It doesn't feel like it was a big organization feat, but it really was. That has been on my mind for a long time, so I'm glad to have it off and checked off my list. So now we're actually going to start going through the freezers and the refrigerators and getting those ready for spring. I'm ready to have some more space in my fridge and refrigerators to stock up for when we start having things coming up from the ground. So here we are organizing and decluttering the freezer, which is super important to do before the beginning of any season, because you want to make sure that you're not taking up room with things that don't need to be there, and because you could use that space for other things and prepare other foods. And so it's really important to make sure that you have everything labeled and that you're checking for freezer burnt items, and you're organizing into sections like meats and veggies, leftovers and homemade meals. And that way you can also just take a glance at your freezer when you're all finished and go, oh, this needs to be used used up, or this needs to be used up. So it's the perfect opportunity to go through and make sure that everything is organized and decluttered, and that you know what you have on hand so that you can make food using what you already have, which is the goal, right? Our goal is to shop our freezers and our pantries, and so the way to do that is to make sure that you know what you have on hand so that you can use it. Alright, so we are taking a little bit of a jump here, and we are moving to one of my new favorite ways to use sourdough discard, and that is to use it in a sourdough discard pizza crust. I learned this from Farmhouse on Boone, and I didn't do it quite right this time, but it still tasted delicious. And the way that you do it is that you take your sourdough discard, because I had a ton, and you pour it into a hot cast iron. So what you do is you preheat your cast iron while your oven is preheating at 425 degrees for 10 minutes. And then you come and you pour your sourdough discard in your pan, and you make it enough basically for a thick pancake. And I didn't do that here, which is my issue and why I had cracks on the bottom of my pan. But what you do is you just pour all that discard in there, you cook it for 10 minutes, and then you put your toppings on. And you want to start with your dry toppings, and you can see I'm putting some mozzarella here and some leftover Boursin cheese in here, and it tastes absolutely delicious. And what you do is you put your sauce on top of your cheeses and your other toppings to prevent the crust from going soggy, which is still good, and it still holds together. So we did that the first time. We put the sauce down first, and it held together just fine. It just wasn't crispy on the bottom, which is totally fine. But then once you're done with that, put your seasonings on, pour a little bit more olive oil on, and put it in the oven for 10 more minutes, or until your sauces or your toppings are ready to be, or they're melted and they're all gooey and yummy. And then you just take it out of your pan, and it should just slide straight out of your cast iron, because you should be using a cast iron for this, a well-seasoned cast iron. It should come right out of the pan, and it's delicious, and it is something definitely to be excited about. All of those crispy bits around the edges taste so delicious and cheesy. They are so yummy. So definitely something you need to try. Now we are skipping once again. We are moving to a project later that day where I am putting together a bunch of memorial items from our baby, and we are putting them into a shadow box. So his name was Nathan, so that's why there is an N there. And I kept my pregnancy test. Tip for everyone who is pregnant and wants to do memorial keepsakes: make sure that you also take a pregnancy test with just the lines and not the digital ones, because the lines stay forever. The digital ones time out eventually after like a couple weeks or something like that, and then you can never see the results. So definitely take some with pregnancy test with the lines, because that will give you a memorial item. And then we have the little teddy bear that one of the organizations gave us. That is the perfect size for him. I mean, if that tells you anything about how tiny he was, it was just the perfect size for him. And then we had some flowers that were the corsage and boutonniere that we wore at the funeral, and then some flowers from bouquets that friends had given us. So we had a bunch of stuff to put in that memorial keepsake box. And then here we're now going to another project. I am making a baby blessing gown from C. Kate Sew is where the pattern is, and it is a wonderful pattern. I've made it a couple times now, and I made the terrible decision to pick a fancy fabric that has beading on it. And if you have ever sewn a fancy fabric with beading on it, you know that you have to go through along all of your seam allowances and take out all of the beading and the pearls and all the pretty stuff along that seam allowance so you can even sew the seam. And so you can kind of see here, I've taken out some of those beads. Well, you kind of can't, because it's just such a pretty fabric and it has sequins everywhere, which you don't have to take out the sequins. but it's a really nice pattern, and this dress ends up turning out really nice in the end. And I was just looking for a bunch of stuff to do this day because I need to stay busy, not only for me on normal times, but for me in this time of mourning and grieving. I need to stay busy in order to stay sane. And so here I am, keeping busy, making a baby dress that doesn't even really need to be made, but I made it anyway. And yeah, it was a fun project. I love projects, but projects usually only take me a couple hours, so I need something that is going to take longer than just a couple hours or just a quick trip to the store to keep me busy. So I'm still on the lookout for those things. So if you have any ideas for any projects that are going to take longer than a couple hours, let me know. But this ends up being a very, very cute little dress and perfect for some little kid who's going to get blessed. This is the 0 to 3 month size that CK Sew has. And like I said, it's a great pattern and great thing to follow. So thank you for joining us today on this fun preparing for spring and projects day, and we will see you on the next video. Have a good day. Bye.